Well, folks, welcome to another edition of Why I Joined Exp. I'm your host, Bryon Howard, and today on the show, Pablo Galvez and I have been chatting here for about an hour and a half, and now we just hit record.
We're all finished talking now. We don't have to...
Pablo, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, Pablo, we have been longtime friends.
Yes.
And you've had some great success in real estate sales and great success in transferring from real estate sales more into, growing your real estate business and your group with the XP. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Last September, so not quite a year, 10 months ago, you and Simone moved your life from a house into a suitcase. How's it been?
It's been a blast. Yeah, so like we were talking about earlier, so it was like August, September, we sold our house, sold our cars, sold our furniture, the lamps, the tables, everything. Got donated clothes, donated stuff that we didn't need, and we packed our entire life into a suitcase. And the rule was, and I've got a picture of us, maybe I'll try and send it to you.
I've seen it.
Yeah, so it's a picture of us with like a large carry-on and a large check-in and a carry-on each, and then a shoulder bag, and that was everything we own. And the theory was, let's see if we can discover what ultimate freedom looks like, right? Time freedom, location freedom, money freedom, and so you can do what you want, when you want, with who you want, where you want, right? And it's been awesome. I'm back here in Calgary for now, but still traveling, and we're living in our kid's basement.
When I told Shirley that I was having Pablo over for to do a podcast, she said, well, isn't he's in Calgary?
Yeah. I know, that's what everybody starts a conversation with me now. So where are you?
does that bother you at all?
No.
It doesn't bother you that they ask you that? No. Because in a lot of ways, the world works that actually you can work from anywhere in a lot of ways.
You really can. Yeah, and I think that'll become less of a thing,
purposely, right? I haven't, I'll call Simone or I'll call yourself or I'll text or whatever, and I purposely don't get into where are you, because I don't think it's that important in a lot of ways. I don't know, but maybe it's rude too. Is it rude for me not to ask where are you? I don't necessarily need to know that you're.
Let's just say it's relevant. It's it's an interesting opening conversation. It's hi, how are you? I mean, are you really wondering how I am, or is this just part of the script of the conversation, right?
Because you're similarly trained as I am with MFO or Mike Ferry. I don't really like to get into idle chit chat. Yeah, because you know the personality style I am.
Hey, Bryon, this is Pablo. This is a business conversation. Do you have a moment?
I don't need to know that you're in Puerto Rico. Because it's still business, right?
I just figured you never wanted to know because it would make you jealous. but you're always in some awesome place too.
I like our climate. I like the mountains. I like the snow. I like the summers. I like the rain. I had a great run. When was it? Saturday night in the pouring rain. I loved
it. Well, it's a great mindset for sure.
Well, so you're and Simone recently interviewed Glenn Sanford on stage at Summit.
That was exciting.
That's incredible. You guys just immersed yourself. You guys, whatever you do, you immerse yourself. You get the best of it, and you just rock it.
We go after it. And I remember when we started in real estate, we had a conversation with Donna Rooney, who's a tremendous agent here, and Gary. And we were 5-6 months into the business, hustling, growing. We were starting to really crank out deals, and we were determined to be the top of the top of the top, right? And so what do we need if we're going to get to the top of the top? We got to talk to the people at the top of the top of the top.
You did it then too,
And we went over, it was a Christmas party, and we were hanging out, and I remember us standing in the hallway, and we went to Donna and Gary and said, we really admire you guys. You guys are crushing it. You guys are doing so much. And, can you give us some advice on selling real estate? And she said, well, Donna in her very stern kind of way, she's a loving individual. I love her, but she kind of has a little bit of a stern tone to her when you first meet her. And she said, well, do you work with buyers or sellers? In this kind of very matter-of-fact tone.
Really?
And I was anybody who'll give me a paycheck. I'll work with anybody, right? And of course, those kind of things get you thinking, what do you mean buyers or sellers? And so she said, well, you got to figure out what you're focusing on. And I was okay, well, that's great. Well, can you give us the top 3 pieces of advice for a realtor getting started? And what we can do to become one day like you. And she went, number 1, Mike Ferry. Number 2, Mike Ferry. Number 3, Mike Ferry. We're who the heck is Mike Ferry? You know, and you and I both met at Mike Ferry. That's kind of how we got started, and it was tremendous. Our business completely took off. So to this day, I still advocate that the number one thing you can do in your real estate business is get a coach.
Yeah.
A good coach. Because there's not so good coaches out there.
Is that right? I don't know that, but
yeah.
I assume
you know, a good coach is someone who can challenge you and confront you and ask you the right kind of questions rather than just telling you.
Right.
I coached for Mike for a year.
Yeah.
And I remember just getting on and say, well, what do you teach people? I said, well, I don't teach people, I coach people. Well, what do you coach them? Like, what do you tell them to do? I'm like, well, I don't tell them to do anything, right? So this is it. Usually the conversation starts with, so tell me what you're doing right now. Well, I'm doing this and this and this. What's working for you? Well, this is working for you. Okay, what's not working for you? This kind of sucks. I'm not very good at this. Okay, what do you think you need to do to improve? Well, I know I probably need to do this. Okay, do you want to do that? Well, yeah, I really want to get at it. I just, I'm having a hard time just doing it. Great. So if you had to do it, what kind of things would you have to do in your life in order to make sure that you did that? Well, I'd probably have to wake up a little earlier. Oh, what time would you have to wake up? Probably like 6 a.m. Okay. So what would you need to do in order to wake up at 6 a.m.? I'd have to set my alarm. Can you do that now? Yeah, I'll set my alarm. This is the best call I've ever had. Oh, yeah, I didn't do anything. I just had to,
That's good.
So that's usually what a coaching call sounds like for me. And then, of course, we get into some minutia after some time. But
that's great.
Yeah, just learning what you. It's like drawing out of you what you know you need to do anyways.
And so that's what you're focused on these days. You're offering, you're doing leadership training, and you're trying to grow your own leadership skills and mentorship skills too, maybe, or not really. Well, what's the difference between leadership and mentorship? Is there a difference?
Yeah, well, there's the big difference between coaching and leadership and mentorship, and mentorship is kind of being there and sharing with others what you've done to be successful and being there when they have questions about their business, right? I love group training because of the leverage, and I do a lot of that. I do that once a week with Agent Upgrade on Tuesdays, and I find that works really well, but there's no substitute for coaching. And I wish I could do coaching, but it's exhausting. The reason why I
really wish you would do it then, because you'd do it if you wished you did it.
I wish I could do it without having a regular time. I think that was the difficult part for me, was
Tuesdays at 9:30.
Oh, I've got 6 coaching calls to do now, and I just remember kind of dreading that. And I really put my heart into it, where it was I would write notes, and then I would review the notes before the call, because I wanted to remember what we talked about before. Right. So I'd spend 15-20 minutes preparing. I'd get on the call. I'd have to have energy and enthusiasm, so I got to be on, and I'd usually get dressed up. Even though I was on a phone call, I'd get dressed up, and then I would be as good as I could for, and ask questions. When you're asking questions, it takes a lot of thought and brain power, and it's a little bit exhausting, right? And then I would finish, and they would get off the line. I would spend another 15-20 minutes writing notes out and making sure I organized myself for the next call, and then I'd get on to the next call. That process and doing that on a weekly basis was exhausting, and that's what I didn't like about it. But what I enjoyed, I remember after a year of coaching these agents, and I went to Toronto, where most of my coaching clients were in Toronto, and I got to actually meet most of them in person. And by then I'd actually ended my coaching agreement, so it was like a month or two after finishing up coaching with them, and I got to finally meet all these people. And I thought I was an okay coach. I didn't really think but they came up to me and were just like gushing and going, you helped me so much, and my business went from this to this, and I can't believe it, and you were the best coach ever, and I got another coach and they're nowhere near, and that felt really good.
Yeah, cool.
So when I know that I'm helping people, that's the rush that I need in life, is helping people get to that next level. So to get to your point, what I really enjoy doing now is somebody calls me and needs my time, and I'm able to kind of have a coaching call, but unscripted and unplanned, and we're not going to do this on a regular basis, but we just do this from time to time, or reactionary. I really enjoy that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Huh. Very good. And how about what's the opportunity like left in EXP? So currently there's 80,000 agents, 83,000 agents in EXP.
Oh yeah, I've learned so much. Like there's 80,000 agents at EXP, and a lot of people, the ship has sailed, and you should go.
And then what about all the copycats that are coming in?
Yeah, like
are there many? I know there's Real.
Fathom in the States is another one.
Yeah.
And now you get other companies that are like, well, we're gonna give rev share, or we're gonna do stocks too, or something like that. And I always say it's like, I had a client who was a taxi driver at night. He was a builder during the day. That's how much profit there was in building at the time.
Yeah.
But he drove for a regular cab company, and this was during the days when Uber was coming in and kind of disrupting the cab industry.
Yeah.
They were really upset. And so he said to me, well, it's all going to change. And I said, well, how is it going to change? He goes, well, our taxi company, we've got an app now, and you can actually call a cab on the app, so Uber is going to die.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
I said, it's not about the app. Yeah, do you get this? It's about a major disruption and a shift and a change in how we do things, and how, I don't have to have a disgruntled taxi driver drive me around when I got a guy with a pretty nice car that keeps it clean, and he's doing this as a side hustle, and we can have a cool conversation. That's what it's about, right? So there's a whole culture around it. There's something bigger there, and that's what EXP is doing to the whole industry now. Is they've created the disruptive model, and then they've kind of grown into it, and now people are adopting. We look at the early adopter curve, and then you kind of get the majority adopters, and then you get like the mass adoption. We're just coming out of the early adopters. Like I consider myself like a more of the early adopter 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, and we're right now curving into the majority adopt, like where we're getting major adoption, and so it's just really starting to grow. There's like 3 million agents in the US, and there's only 75,000 EXP agents in the US.
Right.
There's 170,000 Keller Williams agents, and they're on a down scale. We're going up. So I think we'll at least reach 170 very soon. We'll reach 100,000 agents this year, and then we'll hit 170,000. And you think about that, like we've been growing for 10 years, and we got to 80,000 agents. In the next 2 years, we'll double that.
Right.
Like we'll have another 10 years worth of agents join in the next 2 years.
Wow.
It's mind-boggling with the way the exponential curve works, right? And then globally there's like 500,000 agents, and then going to 1 million. There's and it's easier now. Like when I joined, it was ESP. What is this company? What is that? And now it's like, at least people are saying, I've heard of it already, right? I know what it's about, and now you're having those conversations.
What do you think is what is the disruption? How is EXP a disruptor?
They made it agent centric. So most companies kind of started with this top down structure. You got the owner, and then you get regional managers, and there's all this bloated head office stuff, and then you get all these agents who are really kind of, they're not employed. They're doing all the work, all the heavy lifting, and they're giving their fees and stuff, and it all goes back to the owner. And decisions come from the top, and it's like, well, we're going to do a national ad fund, okay, and we all have to pay into it and everything, right? Remax and everything else. Then they flipped it all upside down and said, well, okay, what if the agents all got together and started a real estate company? What would it look like?
Oh, that's it.
Well, we'd all own it, that's for sure. Like I want to be an owner. I want to participate in the stocks, and I want to be an owner. Okay, great. And when the money comes in, the profit, I want a piece of it, right? I'm an owner, and I should get rewarded if I recruit and build the brokerage. And I want the best tools and technology, and I don't need an office anymore. I don't want to pay for an office because I'm never there. Like, the low producers are at the office, the high producers are out selling houses.
Right.
I don't want to pay for the office anymore, right? So they eliminated the office and built that whole structure. And now agents are kind of going, this kind of makes sense now. Right? So they disrupted it by turning it upside down.
Right.
But they said, okay, as agents, do we want to do the accounting? No. Do we want to do the compliance stuff? No. So we got to have some kind of corporate structure. So they hire a corporate, basically. So all the brokers are employed by the brokerage.
Right.
They're employed by us. They work for us, the brokers, and not the other way around. So it's agent-centric. It's all about the agents, and then the rest of the company supports the agents.
Wow.
That's what they're doing differently.
Very neat.
Yeah.
Well, Pablo, I think that kind of should be wrapping this up. So what do you want to leave the listeners to? What questions? What do we need to?
I mean, like, I get it. Like we most people are not looking for a change. It's like this is not something that people are sitting around in their day-to-day sales kind of going, I need to change companies. Be very open. Be open to opportunities. We were always closed, and I always said, like, if somebody came to us and we were selling real estate and people did, hey, you want to change companies? I'd be like, no, I don't want to change. I'm good where I'm at. Gosh, what a mistake. Somebody introduced me, Humberto in Calgary, introduced me to EXP in 2014. No, I'm good where I'm at. I'm fine, right?
Same thing.
And I didn't know anything about it. It wasn't open to it. Wasn't open to listening to it. I just closed my door. I would have been a multi-millionaire many times over if I joined then, because of the amount of stock that I would have been gifted at that time and where it went. It would have been tremendous. And we ended up doing very well anyways, but it would have been way, way, way better. Yeah. So the lesson that I took from that is just at least be open to conversations, open to listening to things, open-minded about it, and that, this is the future of real estate, and it's a great culture. It's a great opportunity.
As Brent Grove says, and I believe it puts the fun back in real estate, which is my experience. The more I get out of the daily grind of sales, and the more giving back to my small group and team, it's way more fun for me. After having been in this business for 20 years, I would rather not be out there daily hustling for a piece of a sale, but I would rather coach, mentor, give leadership to people in my group. And so that's going to be my focus the next 5 years.
It's a tremendous opportunity to leave a little bit of a legacy and to pass on your knowledge and to coach and mentor and train other agents and do well financially at the same time.
Pablo, thank you very much for being on the show.
It's been a blast. Yeah, nice to be back. And you got a great show. I love these.
Yes. Well, until next time.
Until next time.
Over and out.
Over and out.